Howdy, Howard here. This is a Portland memory. I lived in Portland for about 6 years. And one day I woke up and looked out the window, and it was a record Portland snowfall. And the hummingbird feeder, we had Anna's hummingbirds. And I learned later, after having left Portland, that Anna is a name in Hebrew, according to what I read, that translates to mean grace. And when I looked it up in the Ohio County Public Library a while back, I learned one of the definitions of grace was unmerited love and forgiveness from a divine source. Unmerited. Anyway, back to this story. I was in need of some medication, so I strapped on my big boy boots and I started walking, and a new music store, 3 Tracks, had just opened up recently, and it was about a 4-block hobble. And so I decided to go in on my way to picking up my medications. And Keith was there. He's the owner, and a really super friendly guy who, even though he had repairs to do on amplifiers and other stuff like electric guitars, he always seemed to have time for me. And I think one of the reasons is because he also lived at some point in time in Wheeling, West Virginia, where I was raised, and also in Erie, Pennsylvania. I lived there for 14 winters. We never knew each other there. And so we were both somewhat kind of taken aback that we had traveled in those circles. Anyway, so I go into 3 Tracks music store, and while I was there, I said, "Hey, Keith, do you happen to have a pop filter for my new condenser mic?" And he, did his job, and he looked it up in a catalog, and he said, "Hey, Howard," closed the catalog. He said, "You could just make one with a wire hanger and some women's pantyhose." Where the heck am I going to get some women's pantyhose? If I already had some secretly, I wasn't going to admit that openly. Anyway, I didn't. So he said to his then fiancée, Kate, and now wife, "Hey, why don't you give your mom a ring, ding-a-ling-a-ling, and see if she'll be willing to bring some over." And she did. Didn't take that long, maybe half an hour or so. And she just came over and said, here's your women's pantyhose." And then she asked, "Why do you need a pair of women's pantyhose, Howard?" I'd never met her before. And I kind of shyly said and explained my reason. It's for, so I can make a pop filter for this condenser mic. Yeah, that's a, perfectly legitimate explanation. And she then said, "Hey, Howard, I'd rather see you in them." And we all laughed. Woo-hoo. So I just said, we can talk about that privately later, as long as there's no video evidence. What the heck? Just kidding around. But anyway, so that's how I went out in a record Portland snowfall to pick up some medications, and ended up coming back with a pair of a woman's pantyhose. A stranger no more. That's a Portland memory. By me, Howard Lewis Franklin. See ya. Howard out.